Hi, today I want to speak to being a unicorn. A lot of people say, I want to be a unicorn, or I'm a unicorn. But do you really want to be a unicorn? Because I can tell you, when you truly are a unicorn, it's much harder. Life is much more difficult. I was in a group today learning some things, and the person talked about, how do you differentiate your message when your message sounds the same as everyone else's? And I'm sitting here going, my message is different than most people's. Most people are not doing what I'm doing or have not figured out what I figured out because people aren't like me. So that's not my problem. Thanks for speaking to me. You spoke to the whole group but me. And I can't tell you how many times that happens to me. Most of the time, the audience, when they're speaking to the audience, it could be people my age, it could be people younger than me, it could be all females. Most of the time, they're not talking to me, but they're talking to everybody else. This is what it's like to be a unicorn. I watched someone the other day talk about their childhood and what they went through because it was raining and they got picked up. And what they actually went through. They were basically almost left for dead. That's being a unicorn, going through something that most people don't go through. That's being a unicorn. Do you want to go through what that person went through? I sure hope not. I know people in my life who are unicorns, either by who they are or what they've experienced in their life. And I can tell you right now, you don't want to be one. It's harder to find belonging. It's harder to find acceptance. It's harder to be understood. And you will usually get more abuse than other people, more rejection than other people. And I want to talk to this because I can't tell you how many people that are not unicorns go around going, I'm a unicorn, I'm different, I'm a unicorn. And I want to look at them and go, no, you're not. Your story is the same as everybody else's story. Your story is a life story. Now, there's a difference between a life story and a more unique story. So let's look at the difference between a life story and a more unique story. So, and I'm just breaking this down because I think people really need to understand this because a lot of people don't have empathy. So we're going to break this down for a second. A life story is, I've dealt with someone dying in my life. I've dealt with my parents dying. I've dealt with, people, my grandparents dying. That's a life story. Okay? And as much as it's becoming more of a life story to say you're ADHD or you're autistic or you're neurospicy, that's starting to become more normal. But it's still a little off the beaten path. But there's more resources for that than someone who's a nonverbal. How do you deal with someone who's nonverbal? And what does that mean? You see, we've got to look at some of these things. Or how do you deal with someone who has been trafficked? You wouldn't want to be them. They're more of a unicorn. You don't want to deal with their trauma. You don't want to have, a lot of people don't want to have empathy for them or compassion for them. A lot of people, when they meet someone who's like that, they're like, just get over it. Why are you so like this? Instead of saying, oh my gosh, you went through a lot. This is a hard challenge. And yeah, there's going to be times you're going to push me away and you're going to be angry and you're going to really struggle with rejection because of what you went through. And I don't blame you. I'm going to sit here with you. And even if that means we don't talk for a little while, it may mean you need a timeout. And if you need that timeout, it's okay. You see, what I think is the most important thing about understanding unicorns is a lot of times they've dealt with severe rejection. severe pain, severe humiliation, severe shame. And what they need is not more of that shit. Yeah, sometimes they can be difficult because of all that shit. What they need is someone to say, it's okay. What they need is someone to say, you may be pushing me away. I'll give you that space and that time out, but I'm not going to hold that against you. Because I know you struggle. I know what you've been through. I know how painful that could be. Even though I may have not gone through that, I know how painful that could be. We do not give people in our society who are actual unicorns the time and the ability to heal. We don't. We do not support them when they've been traumatized. We don't support them when they become their children of war veterans. They get no benefits. And sometimes people that were war veterans have come back with skills and techniques, and they're not healthy and they're not getting the help they need, and they can hurt their children. We don't talk about that. We don't get those children that help. This is what I'm talking about. And I think going on, we need, even if someone has a normal, typical life, I know people who have had good lives and don't necessarily understand people who have had really tough lives. That's where you can have compassion for yourself and others. Everybody goes through pain. But when we stop having empathy for each other, that's a problem. You know, how many people struggle with things? And like the other day, I was driving, and some guy with these water things, jet skis, pulled out like they were going to hit me. I swerved to the side, and I look in my rearview mirror, and he's flipping me off. I'm like, you pulled in. I didn't pull in. You pulled in. That's what I'm talking about. That's not empathy. That's, I need to be right. And F you, lady. We need to start really caring about each other and having empathy. We need to have resources for the unicorns. There's tons of resources out there, but we don't necessarily know how to work with those resources. But get them to your unicorns. Help your unicorns. And don't go around saying you're a unicorn, because you probably haven't walked a mile in the unicorn shoes. You're not a unicorn because you've gone through menopause. You're not a unicorn because you've gone through puberty. You're a unicorn because you've probably gone through something that majority of society hasn't gone through, or you're a unicorn because you have something that isn't a normal thing that society treats or society deals with. Those are who the unicorns are. And when you go around saying you're a unicorn, it takes away from the people who are truly needing that help. That's just what I've seen. So on that note, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.